just let it happen. Make it happen because you want it to happen.
Yo, what's up, everyone? Wherever you are in this wonderful world, good evening, good afternoon, and good morning, right? So, I'm super pumped to share this episode. We are now on episode 101 of the Design Live Show. So, in this episode, I sat down with Mary Cruz. Mary is a digital painter, illustrator, artist, speed painter, resource speaker, and a teacher. In this episode, we talk about her design stories from ground up, how she was able to start her creative side hustle to now a profitable brand and business, being a teacher while managing her brand. We also talk about daily practices and building new habits, which I think really great for anyone who try to build a new habits or maybe rebuild a habits, especially these things that happening in our world right now. So I think it would really help a ton for anyone out there. So we also talk about we kinda scratch the surface about slow burn versus burnout. So we kinda it's really good to talk about it, which we kinda try to iterate or explain a bit on this episode. So we also talk about other fuels for creativity and much more. So make sure to stay around, stay tuned, guys. Keep your ears filled. If you haven't already, please follow the podcast on any of your favorite podcasting app: Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, SoundCloud. Or if you want to learn more about it, just go to the designliveshow.com and make sure to send me your feedback, negative, positive. I would be happy to get that, right? So so I don't want to waste your time anymore. Hopefully you'll enjoy this podcast, learn a ton, because I did talking with Mary. So with that being said, I hope you enjoy this episode.
You're listening to the Design Life Show, a podcast that helping everyone grow to live a meaningful and creative life. It's me, Jake Rice, a designer from the Philippines, best known for being an advocate of essentialism and optimism. I'm sitting down with awesome people to talk about their journey, their process, and the lessons they've learned along the way.
Hey everyone, it's me again, Jake Rice, and welcome to another episode of the Design Live Show. Like what I always, like what I've always telling you. So I'm always pumped. I'm always delighted to have another podcast guest on the Design Live Show. So this is a great for me. It's going to be a great episode because we're gonna learn more about our guest today. So if if there's some bad connection, so bear with us. So we are in the Philippines, right? So hashtag I love Philippines internet. So there you go. So without further ado, Mary, how are you, Mary? Welcome to the podcast, and I'm super glad to have you on the show.
Thank you for inviting me. I was really excited.
There you go. So just to give some context for all the listeners of TDLS, can you share a little bit about your background? Who is Mary? For those who haven't learned more or who haven't heard you before.
Oh, okay. So, well, my name is Mary Cruz, but the thing is, that's the most common name I could think of, especially if you're in the Philippines. So, my artist name is actually Paper Pirate. Well, I started Paper Pirate for a couple of years now, but short and sweet answer: I'm a digital painter and illustrator. I'm sort of a traditional artist as well, but more on the digital side. I'm also an educator. I've been a teacher for 5 years now, and also I'm a resource speaker. I think this comes with the whole I'm very talkative, so they invite me to talk. I didn't even know that I could get paid to talk. So beyond that, I am also a former athlete. I love video games. What else can I say? I love art there.
There you go. Wow, there's a lot of things going on, right, with Mary Cruz. So just to shift a little back, or I don't know if we just to go back a little bit with your journey. How did you start with in terms to being a creative, right? So being an artist. Can you share a little bit about that? Uh, Growing up as a as a kid, right? So
Mm. All right. So I really hope that I won't take like an entire hour to say the whole story here. But whenever I get asked that question, I always end up looking back at the very first thing that my parents would say. I learned how to draw before I could talk. So that was
mm.
something that struck me because I think everyone is actually artistic in some way. It's just that there are just a few who remain interested in art. So if people ask me when I started drawing or when did I start learning how to become an artist, I think it was ever since. It's just that it was something that I did when I was bored, when I was entertaining myself, or actually one of the biggest factors I think there, one of the biggest source here is whenever I'm in school, especially when I was in high school, I wasn't good in, I mean, I was always interested in my class, but I suck at quizzes. I didn't have good grades. But every teacher would tell me, but you're good at art. So at least we have that. So when that happened, I realized that some of my art teachers were making me join competitions. And it got into my head that maybe art's the thing that I'm supposed to be doing. So when I got to college, that's when I tried making a career out of art. And that's where Paper Pirate actually officially happened. After that, I think it just I never really planned any of this. It was just honestly, Paper Pirate started because I wanted pocket money. So I wanted to sell art just for fun. I didn't even think that it could be a career. I didn't even think that there will be one day, although this happens rarely, please please take note. One day someone would actually go up to me in a mall and say, "Are you Paper Pirate?" And I'd be so confused, like, "How did you know that?" And then, and I never planned any of it. It just happened because I kept doing what I love, and it loved me in return. It kind of granted me this opportunity to make art, make money out of it, and give back in a way. And finally, it came to teaching art. I think it goes hand in hand. If I like something, I also like teaching it. So art's the thing that I love the most. So it comes with the teaching side, the educational side of things, which is
Yeah,
funny because
100%.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
because it's funny because again, I was a horrible teacher. No, I was a horrible student because I loved the classes, but I suck at at quizzes, and then I ended up as a teacher. So that was confusing for everyone. So there.
Yeah, yeah, that's mind blown for that, that's mind blown. Yeah, I think it's a natural progression as well as as an artist, right? So I think there is some, so one way or another if you're on the peak of your career. So I think there's an urge to really pay it forward,
Yeah.
whatever, right? So by teaching or by educating someone within terms to your any talent or passions that you have. I think that's, that's really resonating as well with me at the same time. Hopefully for those who are listening right now. So as you mentioned, right? So you are kind of not good at school, right? So I'm trying to tell that in a good way, right? So yeah, you're sack at school, right? Before, and then how did how did you what you call this? Paano mo naisipan to really go on that direction of being a teacher or to teach someone else, right? So although like in your in school, that right, so you're not really good at probably on quizzes or anything that related to academics, right? So can you share your within those timeline, what's
Mhm.
your what's your thought process about that? uh, uh, can you share your journey as well on that particular timeline on shifting
I
to you being a teacher, right? Now you're managing as well your brand, right?
Yeah. Oh, okay. So one of the things that I realized only after I graduated and everything, I think sometimes you only realize things were supposed to happen after they happened. So when I was a student, I was very much convinced. Even when I was in college, I was in an art school, yeah, but I was convinced that I was just surviving. I'm not succeeding. I'm just surviving throughout my academic experiences back then. But there's this thing that I realized when I became a teacher, which was I wasn't a good student, not because I didn't like to learn. I wasn't a good student, but I was a good learner. That means
Interesting. Hmm.
I'm always curious about something. I'm very much interested. I swear I'm always interested in all my classes. And I'm actually I think the worst subject I had was math. Anything that has like a number and then suddenly a letter in it, yeah, that's the problematic side. But then each time I'm always interested. It's just the whole system where the numerical values, the numerical system of schools, that's where I failed at, not as a learner, because I learned from all of those classes. I appreciate all of those classes, but I found it difficult to reach a certain standard. Which is again the scoring system of academics, which is why I feel that every time now as a teacher, whenever I look back and I have a student who is having the same problems that I have, it's not that I'm forgiving about it, but I try my best to realign their motivations, that don't focus on the
Hmm.
score, do this for yourself, because that's what I lacked back then.
Hmm.
So the transition of becoming a teacher actually happened. Again, none of this was planned, but when I was in college, I really liked art a lot, and I started my Instagram account, which is plug it in at Paper Pirate Ship. Okay, so I
Yeah.
started my Instagram account, and I kept posting and posting, and I felt like there was something missing with just posting my artworks. So I started putting little notes of how I did the artworks. So I would put there,
Mm.
I did this, I practiced for 10 minutes today, I learned this today. And then I started getting messages from people asking me, how did you do this? Can you teach me how to do that? So that was interesting to me. I didn't even think that they would be interested. It's just that I felt like I needed a caption there. And then later on, when before I graduated college, I got offers to agencies, which I really appreciate. It is such a privilege back then to be able to say yes and no to certain companies that wanted you. But then I eventually said no because I had a gut feeling that I wanted to do something else, and that was teaching. Luckily, there was an opening in my alma mater, and then I tried it out. I was invited for a demo, and turns out, again, I didn't plan it. I actually can teach. And then something else that I didn't plan, I can teach, and I love teaching. I loved being able to see my students grow and learn and have the same curiosity that I had and still do when in terms of art, film, and media, because those were my subjects. And I think again, art goes hand in hand because I didn't plan to be able to teach these things. I didn't plan to be a teacher and an artist at the same time. But then it became I would say, core or the vision mission of Paper Pirate is to inspire, to learn, and to keep making art, which is basically the three things that I really enjoy doing and giving. I want to be able to teach what I love and love what I teach. So there. That
Yeah,
was
that's really cool. Yeah, that's really cool. I think that transition, the thought process about it, that's is really, it's really practical for anyone who wants to, probably pivot as well, pivot their career on teaching. So yeah, thank you for sharing that, Mary. I just I'm just very curious about your managing your brand, right? Your own brand while teaching, right? So is there any struggles right now when you're trying to juggle these two things?
Oh, okay. The struggle. Right now, there's a specific there's a specific
Uh,
struggle for that, which is the fact that we're in the middle of a pandemic.
yeah.
So lots of the resources that I used to have, and actually, I would say that I'm privileged enough to actually say that it's okay. I can survive through this because of the things that I have. That's why I feel like there are more people who are struggling out there compared to what I'm going through. But to mention what I went through was I actually left my teaching job, my former teaching job before the pandemic, not knowing that it was going to happen, of course, because I wanted to focus on my career with Paper Pirate and selling in art bazaars, art markets, which is heavily crowded. So of course that was the first thing to go. When the pandemic started, the all the bazaars that I had planned to join and joined, actually I've already registered, got canceled. So there I was with a bunch of artworks, not knowing what to do, how to make money out of it. And that was one of the struggles that I had because I didn't have any other platform. But then luckily I was invited to teach in another school. So that actually that was very fortunate for me, and it was very lucky that I had that opportunity. But before getting that invitation, again, we were all stuck at home and I had nothing else to do again
Mhm.
but to draw and paint, and I started my YouTube. So there.
There you
um
go.
and so the struggle, again, it was not planned, and then I
Uh-huh.
reached a new audience again, and then I started a blog, which there are kind people in this world actually that would donate, and I was surprised about that. I didn't even think that that could happen because it's just me blabbing in my website.
Mhm.
So the struggle actually forwarded me to also give back, which made me start Pirate Heart last year around December because of the typhoons that happened. So I did our commissions for a cause, which in turn is something again that I didn't plan. But I think that charity that I did actually helped Paper Pirate out a lot because people started getting inspired that, oh, so I can do this. How did you do this one? Blah, blah, blah. So they started learning how I process things, how I manage things. And one of the struggles actually that I would like to insert right now is the juggling
Mhm.
problem with artists. All artists have this experience because at one
Mhm.
point you have to create, at one point you have to live your life. So
Yeah.
um
Sometimes most artists doesn't have a system, right? So pretty much we have creative mess, right? So how do you
yeah.
you know how do you overcome those, by the way, Mary?
Oh yeah. Well, I think I learned this from college. My college years, I was juggling a lot of things. So I hope you don't mind. I will share my weekly schedule when I was in
Mhm.
college. Is that okay?
Sure, sure, sure.
All right. So back in college, I don't know why I did this to myself, but back in college, beyond the assignments, the plates, the
Mhm.
projects that I had to do for college, and my thesis, which was an animation. So that's a lot of drawing. That's a lot of studying in frames. Um, well, here's the thing. I was also an athlete, so I had to train every morning, every day, every morning, except on Sundays and sometimes on Saturdays. So that's how my life goes. I would wake up early, go to training all morning, in the afternoon, and up until the night, up until the evening, because I like taking night classes as well. I would be a
Mhm.
student. So athlete in the morning, student in the afternoon, and in the late evenings, I was paper pirate because on the weekends I would join bazaars. And
Mhm.
I had an experience that I was doing my assignments during bazaars. So like someone would come up like, can I buy this? Yeah, sure. And then when they buy it, I'll go back. Okay, so what's this again? Blah, blah, blah. So I'll be studying during that time. So I I made that system because I liked that I liked what I was doing, but there's a problem to it. There was not enough rest. But so that's the thing that I tried fixing now, um as well, the adult version of paper pirate when I was when I was in college. Now I'm juggling one fitness. I live alone, so basically I have to cook for myself. I have to maintain my place by myself, and I'm also a teacher, so every paperwork and every student I have to manage as well, and then the business, and then the YouTube, and then the Instagram. But the thing that I finally included, which I feel that a lot of people seem to neglect, and again, rest is actually a luxury. So one of the things that I included here is resting, because now I realize I can function with all the other things that I have to do if I have rest. So it's like 60% rest, 40% work. Unlike before, which was like 90% work, 10% rest. I didn't realize how effective it would be. But again, I think it's only because I am lucky enough to have the time to actually do that. I know that there are artists out there who has families, like they have to take care of their kids, so rest is really sacrificed. But one of the things that helped me juggle better, I'm still a juggler, I'm still juggling everything, is being able to schedule rest. So there,
Yeah.
I think
That's
that's my
very
answer.
important, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's very important with all the things that happening right now, right? With if you probably I think our culture, I don't know if that makes sense, right? We try to really romanticize hustling, right? So,
Ah, yeah.
but at the end of the day, we need to have an alone time, right? To really be more successful, to probably go back on what we really love, and to really focus on the things that really matter, right? So I think that's something that I'm really connecting with the way you what you call this, the way you convey the answers that you've said. I think that's that's super important. So thank you so much, Mary, for that. So I think it all boils down, right, Mary, with daily practices and studies, right? So
Yeah.
how can you share a little bit about your process with when it comes to daily practices and studies? I think until now, there's still a lot of people out there, especially in the local community, that probably overwhelmed with these massive informations we have right now, and then and then they don't know how to really start. In some way or another, there's a time, or sometimes we some people don't know where to start because of this great amount of informations. And I think if you could share as well your daily practices, I think you could help someone else, or someone who are listening right now.
All right. Well, this is something that I often post in my Instagram stories. If any of my followers are actually listening to this podcast, they know that I always have this routine in the morning, which I'm going to share now. Well, so I wake up very early, and I usually have quote unquote me time, which is where I'll make breakfast. I actually really like cooking, so I'll make myself a really nice treat for breakfast, and it's
Cool.
kind of like meditation actually. And then I'll
Gotcha.
have I'd have a coffee time. Coffee time is when I would either paint something because I feel like it. I never force myself to paint something because during that time, because I don't want to punish. I don't want my daily studies and practices to be associated with punishing myself. Like, you have to do this. No, you want to do this. So if I feel like
Hmm.
painting while I'm having my coffee, I'll paint. If I don't feel like it, I'll read. I'll read a few pages of the book that I'm currently reading. If I don't feel like reading, I have a lot of art books. I collect art books, art of insert game here, insert movie here. And I will look at that. I will study that. And if I don't feel that as well, I'd either play video games because I really love video games, and or I will actually just watch a bunch of informative YouTube videos. When I say informative, I also mean entertaining, because again, that's me
Mhm.
time. It's what I want to do, but it is a habit of mine to at least do something. And
Yeah.
I don't even realize it, but it's productive. I like doing it, but somehow the rest period is in the same process of being productive because I learned something.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, so I,
Mhm.
I I feel like it's just like what you're doing. It's this isn't technically, this is work, like talking and having a podcast, but you love it, right? So so
Mhm.
there's that there's that thing that happens that gets instilled in you. So that's my morning practice, and then after that, that's when I do what I actually tell my students is the daily studies, which is I will study. I would want to be able to do something new or learn something new. It is not a goal or like something that you have to make sure that happens. It's just an attempt. So there's no pressure. No
Yeah.
one's watching you. No one's watching you draw. No one's watching you write something. It's just you. And if and sometimes if I like what I see, that's when I'll post it. And what I noticed about that routine that I have in the morning is it gets the ball rolling for me. I'm not sure if
Mhm.
it makes sense, but it makes me feel active already, even though the day just started. It makes me feel like I've already been present today. I've
Mhm.
I've, I've signed my login, and then and no matter what happens throughout the day, at least I could say that I've done this for myself already. So it
Gotcha. Mhm.
it gets easier. So when I start working like with commissions or with the passion projects that I'm doing or with teaching, I feel a little bit more I don't know how to phrase it properly, but I feel a little bit more secure with myself that you've done this today. You're just
Mhm.
doing these things now. And then by the time that I go to sleep, I could say at least I did this today. Maybe I wasn't able to do this particular task, but I was able to do all of these other things. So there, that's basically
100%.
that
So
routine.
yeah, yeah, that's really resonating. So I stumbled a guy in YouTube. So he has I think he has a course platform called Slow Growth.
Ooh,
What he's trying to do is is promote is about slow burn rather than burnout, right? So I think that's
yeah.
that's really directing into that, right? So what you mentioned. So I think most people are trying to stressing out, or that I need to finish all of these tasks today. I need to do the laundry and anything that I need to finish, right? So I think at the end of the day, we just want to have progress, right? So, and it doesn't matter if it's small or big. So as long as it's a progress, it's still a progress, right? So, and it will all adds up on your big goals, or whatever big goals or big hairy audacious goals you have right now. So I think that's super useful, Mary. Thank you so much for sharing that, right? So,
Thank
and
you.
cool. So it doesn't make sense ba yung sinabi ko? So hopefully
You're
does
right.
make
It
sense.
makes sense.
Cool.
I was actually, I was actually trying to sink it in. Like, yeah, that's
Uh-huh.
true. That's true.
Cool. So I think I miss a little bit about your routine. So do you do hot shower or cold shower? So I think some people might find themselves more productive if they do cold shower. Is it is it are you very keen about that, taking cold or hot shower to really boost your creativity, boost your probably your body to really keep going?
Oh, okay. Well, okay. I'm a very precise type of person. So there's this thing. If in the morning I am able to work out, because I like maintaining my fitness. I kept the habit from being an athlete. So whenever I would work out in the morning, that would mean I would definitely go for a hot shower. I think it's
Mm,
because it calms the body down. Like it's in pain, right? So, oh my
that's right.
gosh. So it calms the body down. I usually when if I have classes, I do this before classes, which keeps me energetic during class. If any of my students are actually listening right now, wow, first of all, hello. Second, they know this. They know how hyper I can get during class, and that's because I feel like I already energized myself and I woke up from that, that hot shower and that routine. But if let's say I did not, I was not able to have the opportunity to do my daily fitness routine in the morning, I have no idea why it happens, but I would go for cold water just to wake myself up. It's like a slap in the face. Like
Uh-huh.
get something done like that. So there. I feel like that usually happens around if there are classes around 9, I'm all set. And then my class will start at 11. So by that time I'm fully awake. I would have maybe I'll have an extra cup of coffee because I'm freezing from the cold shower, but at least I'm awake. There.
Yeah, 100%. So I think that's also, that's also a great way to emphasize to really, get shit done, right? So if you want to really get shit done, probably you need to wake up yourself and try to be productive as much as you can, right? So and
Hmm.
Mary, I'm just curious, right? You've mentioned that you mentioned this amazing routine, right? Awesome routines, and then I think the inspirations really boosted if you do these things, right? So beyond this, beyond these things that you mentioned, do you have any other fuels of creativity for anyone who probably not from looking for new new fuels for creativity? What's your perspective about that?
Okay. So this is something that I actually by heart I actually teach this
Mm-hmm.
in any seminar that I do or in any class that I'm in. I always try to make it a point that inspiration is not something that has to be deep. I know we can romanticize it as much as we can, that we have to go on top of a mountain and breathe the air or something to be
100%.
right, to be inspired. It literally comes from, I think that's what inspiration is. It literally comes from anywhere, everywhere, anywhere. um, the other fuels that I have, I've mentioned that I actually have a lot of art books. That's the most obvious thing. If I'm having trouble with the
Mm-hmm.
color in a particular piece that I'm working on, I would look at the art books and get inspiration from that. I have posters, vintage movie posters around my
Mm-hmm.
quote unquote studio here. I look at that sometimes and I get something, even though it's been here for like I think 4 years now.
Yeah.
There's always still something that I will get from it. But I
Mm-hmm.
guess the other things is sometimes inspiration comes from, again, it hits you. When it hits you, write it down, note it down before it disappears, because
Mm-hmm.
that's how fast inspiration can come. That's how fast inspiration can go. Sometimes I would actually get it by listening to random music, or I love different kinds of genres. Sometimes it's from a movie, but sometimes, which I actually really miss having these, is before the pandemic. Sometimes I'd be out. This is why I love having my tablet everywhere. Everywhere I go, I have my tablet on my bag, in my bag,
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes let's say I'm keeping a friend company. She's working and I'm just in a cafe and I have nothing to do because that friend of mine or that group of those group of friends of mine are working on something. I just start drawing something that I see, and then suddenly it's a painting that I can sell. So inspiration
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have to be something that you put so much work and fuel in. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
inspiration just happens because you let it happen. You just sit there and you say, I want
Yes.
to work on something right now.
I
And
think
there
the
you
keyword
go.
is serendipity. Is that right? Or when it
Yeah,
comes, gotcha. Yeah,
yeah, nice.
that's really
I'm
cool.
gonna quote
Yeah,
that.
yeah. There you go. So and you mentioned Mary, right? So you're selling merch, right? Anything that you could sell with in terms to your craft, when it turns to your
Oh,
career, right? I think there's a lot of I think until now, right? Filipino creatives are really shy on selling, right? So I think this is a really great topic as well. How do you know? How I mean, what's your thought process on selling your your art, selling your craft, or your the things that you are passionate at, and sometimes for me, when I'm getting started, I can't add a price on the things that I did, right? So because I love doing it, right? So what's your perspective about that?
okay, so one of the things that I actually like about being an artist is technically you're selling yourself.
Mm-hmm,
And because a little piece of you is always there in your art, in my artworks, but I think it comes with anything, and
mm-hmm,
I think that's with marketing as well. But I've also had this experience that I was so worried about what people will not like about my work rather than what people will like about what I
mm-hmm,
present to them. I remember the very first bazaar that the very first art market that I joined. I was very self-conscious. I had different pieces of artwork in front of me, and in a few weeks I'd be selling it. I removed so many from that pile. I don't want to sell this. They'll see this mistake. I don't want to sell this. This doesn't look good to me. And I think that was something that I learned throughout the years, is that there's this thing that artists has. I would like to call it a curse that
mm-hmm. Yeah.
we that
It's not a
artists
blessing, pretty much. Yeah.
yeah, it's a curse that we have, that we think that they can see, that our audiences can actually see our mistakes, our concerns with our artworks. But no,
100%.
they actually see the good more than the bad. And sometimes that stops us from actually presenting it and showing it to everyone. So through the years that I've been creating art, posting art, selling art, I started learning this little habit that I have, is if I like what I made, there's bound to be at least one person out there who's also going to like it. So
Yeah.
like at least one. So give that artwork the opportunity to exist beyond yourself. So I would present it and sell it, and turns out there are some people who like it. So I keep selling it. And then the pricing, which is often is very difficult. Up until now,
Yeah.
I get comments that, oh, you price too low. And there are also comments, oh, you price too high. But that's the thing. There's always this different opinion about how you value that artwork. But again, it's all up to you because you made that artwork. So present your price the same way you present yourself, the way you present your artwork. And then there are going to be people who will teach you that maybe you have to adjust, but there will also be people that will accept it and actually support you with that artwork that you presented to them. So every time that I actually also taught entrepreneurship. 3 years ago, I had an entrepreneurship class. One of the things that I kept telling my students back then was, when you are selling, again, focus on the product. If it doesn't sell, it's not that you failed at selling. It's not even the product that's not selling well. There's adjustments to be made, and it is possible to keep selling it. You just have to learn how to sell it better. So there, I think in any artist, it's a struggle to price ourselves, because we feel like
Mhm.
we're also looking, we're kind of looking in the mirror when we look at our artworks. But with anything, set yourself aside from your artwork, but also put in value in it. It's important to you. So be able to love your artwork and let others love it. There. So there.
Yeah, 100%. And at the end of the day, we don't want to, sell ourselves shorts, right? So as
Yeah.
much as you can, right, have that self-worth, have that value, like what Mary said, on the things that you are working at, on the things that you've made. So yeah, that's, I think that's pretty much right. So that's a golden nuggets there, right? For anyone who are listening.
Yeah, golden
So
nuggets.
yeah, there you go. So yeah, Mary, I'm kind of want to shift a gear a little bit with in terms to your processes, right? And with in terms to tools that you are using right now. I think there's a lot of digital artists or aspiring digital illustrator or artists out there who want to probably probably who want to learn more about the tools, right, or processes. Let's start with the process. How do you how do you create some great stuff? How do you create some awesome artwork from scratch?
Oh, uh, here's one of the things that I forgot to mention a while ago, that I'm a speed painter.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
speed painting, for those of you who have not heard it before, speed
Mm-hmm.
painting is basically you have to finish a painting within 30 minutes. And it doesn't have to be perfect. That's the whole point of it. It just has to be finished. It has to look finished. It has to seem like it was intentionally made to look that way. So one of the things that I don't think my buyers know is most of the stuff that I sell just is just 30 minutes. It's without thought. It was just something that I wanted to do within 30 minutes because I have a busy schedule. It started when I was a teacher. Between classes, I would paint something. I told myself, at least just finish one thing. So that's the process. And I learned this technique, which is don't erase. Like don't. I know it sounds funny, but
Uh-huh.
one of the
No
things.
undo, right?
Yeah, no undo. For like 80% of the painting, don't regret what you did. Just keep going. And I think this is what made me have this core value that I have as an artist and as a person. Actually, fail fast, learn fast. Because when you fail fast, you note that mistake. But the more important thing about it is, let's say I was drawing, like, let's say, clouds, and then I notice a mistake. I don't have to retrace my steps and say, oh God, I wish I didn't do that. No, learn really fast. How do I make this mistake work for the painting? So within those 30 minutes, there are so many things that you can already learn and so many techniques that you can develop, your own techniques that you can develop. So this process that I have in creating is basically get at least the first 2 minutes, the first 2 minutes, think of what you want to paint. Usually I end up making clouds because it's my favorite thing to paint, if not food. Um, and so the clouds will be to so what do I want it to look like? That's within the first 2 minutes. What do I want it to look like? What colors do I want? And then the next 8 minutes, experiment. What is it supposed to look like? Don't look back. If you make a mistake, correct it later. It's fine. It's just been 10 minutes. For the next 20 minutes, that's when you start detailing. And a lot of people think 30 minutes is a short time, but it's not. There's so much you can finish in 30 minutes. So when I started learning how to fail fast and learn fast, I started incorporating that in bigger artworks. The artworks that I have, the commissions that I have that would take me maybe 2 days or a couple of hours to finish. I suddenly started having this process of, instead of correcting each mistake, I start noting down how to actually make it to make some progress from that mistake. And for some reason it developed into my style. People think it's a style, but it's really just me in a little bit of panic mode. Like, oh no, I made this wrong stroke. Okay, let's put some blue here so it will be distracting. And then suddenly it became a style. So again, none of this was planned. It just happened. And actually, thank you for that question, because it made me reflect on on that process that I have in painting. It's basically more of creatively adapting than actually being correct all the time. It's just make a mistake, make it work like that.
Yeah, that's really cool, and I think it's also boils down on like what you mentioned that as much as we fail, so we will learn more, right? So
Yeah.
and then try to really fail past as much as you can, and so you could have that conclusion, you could have that style that you want, right? In any field, right? So I think it's not always about when you're creating an artwork. Probably if you're designing a website or designing a
Yeah.
logo. So there's a lot of bit and potatoes that Mary shared there. So make sure you are taking notes. That so I'm super having some great vibes here, taking notes all of the things that Mary mentioned. So again, Mary, thank you for that. So going back to the to the tools, right? So what are the tools that you are using right now with it terms to your with it terms to creating your illustrations and digital painting?
Oh, all right. My tools. I've had this baby since I think 2016. Yeah, 2016. It's really old. I'm not okay. I'm the type of person that as long as it's working, I'm not gonna buy a new one. So I know some artists actually likes keeping it in the times when there's a new tablet out there, you want to get it. But for me, as long as it's functioning, I'm gonna keep it. So this is a really old iPad Pro 9.7. They don't even make 9.7 anymore, but I really like how small it is because
Mhm.
I literally bring it everywhere. I also use the Apple Pen as my stylus. I used to use, but when I was in college, I had a Wacom Cintiq, but then it broke and it's too expensive to have it fixed. And but the tools that sorry, the software that I use in my iPad is Procreate, which is my favorite software as of now. I can paint with it, I can draft with it, I can actually do layout designs here as well. And animation. I really love animation, so I do animation on this too. But actually, I don't want to say what's gonna come up yet because I don't know if I'm gonna get this yet. But there's this job that I'm waiting on, and if I get that job, if I get this gig, I will be saving up to buy just so if anyone is interested, uh, um, the Wacom Cintiq 16. I
Mhm.
really want to have that because I want to be able to use Photoshop again because I actually started with Photoshop. I started learning how to do digital painting through Photoshop. So
Uh-huh.
I'm not gonna throw away my iPad. My iPad is my again my baby and my soul creation. I mean my machine for creation. But I want to try uh, going back to Wacom from time to time because I do believe that I want to explore creatively. This is because, again, but like with everything, like with everyone, if you're an artist, give an artist a tool, the creativity will shine. So I feel that if you are an artist who's trying to figure out what your medium is, basically your creativity will always shine no matter what I give you. If I give you a pencil and a paper, you're going to be fine. If I give you a high-tech tablet, you're going to be great, you're going to be fine. So
Yeah.
I just want to be able to try the new tech for that Wacom has to offer if I get
Mhm.
that gig. So there.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure you're going to get that. So you're super
Oh,
talented,
thank
right?
you.
So yeah, I'm not saying that because we're recording, but
Thank you
just
though.
cool. So I think there's there's a lot of practical advice that you've mentioned, and super grateful to really, generously share that to the TDLS listeners. So thank you so much for that. Before we end this podcast, this awesome, this amazing talk with you. So in bird's eye view, right? So in high level view for anyone in general, right? So I'm sorry if I'm being redundant here. So
It's okay.
in general, right? So what's your best practical advice for people who want to, probably want to start their passion project, or and to really find their the things that they really want to create?
Oh, okay. How to get started? Well, I feel that this is something that I have made a point with myself. I don't want to be a hypocrite, so I do this whenever it's possible. I try to be an example for this, but let it begin. That's the that's the best advice that I could have. I know that there's this thing that happens where we plan and we plan, but we end up just planning and not doing because we're trying to perfect it before it even begins. You're not even allowing it to fail. You're not even allowing it to start. My best advice for anyone who wants to start anything, be it a new hobby, a new routine, or like something that you just want to try or restart, you've done it before but now you want to do it again, um, just let it happen. Make it happen because you want it to happen. So it can make you worry that you don't okay, anything that you start makes you feel like you don't have enough resources. It makes you feel that you're not ready. Well, honestly, like me, when I started Paper Pirate, I really wasn't ready. I didn't know what I was doing. All I knew is that I wanted to do it. So you learn along the way. You don't have to perfect a system. You don't have to create this environment that actually allows success. Like it guarantees success. No, just let it start. See where it goes. Adjust, make mistakes, fail fast, learn fast. Let it happen, and if you love it enough, if you nurture it enough, it will nurture you in return. You will end up wanting to do it more often. You'll end up maybe making a career out of it. You will end up enjoying it more than worrying about it. So there, let it happen, make it happen. There.
There you go. So probably I'll add that on the intro. So let it, let it begin. So that's super powerful for anyone who want to really start what they are really passionate at, and just publish what you want to publish, right? So hit that publish button. the,
Go, go, guys.
don't forget about that Nazis, right? So grammar Nazis. If you're writing writing an article, or right, so or if you're creating a new digital painting, right? So just click that publish button and let it begin, like what Mary said. So again,
Yeah.
Mary, thank you so much for dropping by on the podcast. I'm super delighted to have you on the show. So, and hopefully you've enjoyed the conversations, which I really enjoyed, and super awesome to talk with you. So before we of course finish this podcast, if they want to learn more about you, if they want to probably ask more questions about you or about your works, where they can find you?
Oh, okay. Yay, plugging that in. Well, my main account is at Paper Pirate Ship. My website is paperpirateship.com. And my YouTube is youtube.com/paperpirate. So basically paper pirate. It's all there. Even my personal Instagram account is paper pirate. So just explore, you'll find me. You'll see the artworks, and I do hope that you like the artworks there.
Yeah,
Feel
for
free to
sure.
also message me and ask any questions there.
There you go. That's paperpirate.com. So again, if you're listening to any of your favorite podcasting app, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or even in Amazon Music, the podcast is available by Audible. So you can go scroll down bottom below, so you can check all the links that we mentioned here. If you want to check out Mary's artworks and works, great works, awesome works. So you could check that out on our show notes below. So again, if you want to learn more about the podcast, you can go to thedesignlifeshow.com. That's thedesignlifeshow.com. Again, there you go. So I'm super, super grateful, Mary. Thank you so much for dropping by on the podcast.
No problem. Thank you for inviting me.
And that's it. So thank you so much, guys, for listening again to the podcast, and I really appreciate it. For those people who are asking me on how to support the podcast, you can leave a review on Apple Podcasts. So in that way, you can help me to reach more people and make the podcast more discoverable within the ecosystem. You can also take a screenshot of this podcast and share it with your friends, colleagues, or to anyone that might be interested in this kind of contents. You can also support the podcast monetarily by visiting jcristeves.com/donate or patreon.com/TDLS. And you can also shop courses and tools online to design the life you really deserve by visiting my shop at shop.jcristeves.com. And you can book a call today. I don't bite, just let me know, guys. So the last one would be also by listening and to all the podcast episode and previous episode. And however you support my message, however small that is, more than enough, and it means the world to me. So thank you so much, and see you again next time.